Hi everybody, it's me Jill and welcome to Jill Informed. This is the recap of Vanderpump Rules Season 7, Episode 23, The Reunion Part 2. Oh boy. Okay. I don't know if I can handle 3 parts of this reunion because it is so much screaming and crosstalk. They just seem so incredibly angry at each other. But, you know, here we go. I'm still hanging in there, you guys. Let's get started. Well, as you might imagine, part 2 picks up right where part 1 left off. Andy has to scream for everybody to shut up, and then they decide to take a break. So everybody leaves the set to go into their dressing room and, you know, continue the fighting there. But Lisa stays in her chair and she tells James to stay behind. Come sit by me, James. Come over here. And he goes and sits down and he's trying to keep his face away from the cameras, but he breaks down and he says, "I'm in shambles here." And she's like, "Why are you so angry?" And she's trying to talk to him, but you can see it's killing him. And, you know, I'm no James fan here, but he's only 26 years old and everybody is against him, and you can see that he's trying to hold it together, but you know, the minute the cameras are off, he's kind of breaking down, and I feel for him. I know he's done horrible things and he says horrible things, but they all have, and I don't care how old you are. When you feel like everyone in the room is against you, that hurts. It's hard. It's hard. It would be nice if he could remember this feeling and then modify his behavior, right? I should also say that meanwhile, we have the cameras in the dressing room and Jax is just going off on Sandoval. "You're the only one that even wants him here." And he keeps threatening him to not be in the wedding. "You're not going to be my best man." Who cares? Nobody really wants to be in anybody else's wedding, okay? Let's just start with that premise. It's a lot of work. It's a lot of expense, you know. Everybody's back on set now, and Andy starts off the show with, "Jax, in what ways do you think you've changed?" And Jax goes, "Oh, you know, I don't know. I don't go off on people anymore." What? How could he even say that with a straight face after he was in a screaming match with James? Oh, God. Sandoval is sitting there, and Sandoval's like... Okay, now Andy asks James, "Have you seen a change in Jax?" And James, believe it or not, said, "Well, yeah, you know, we've had a big fight just now, but I've seen the turnaround in him. I really have. So, you know, good job, mate." And Jax is like, "Oh, God." He puts his head in his hands. Why? James just actually said something nice about you. So what is your problem now? Lisa's like, "Jax, you should acknowledge that." And Jax is like, "No, because you know what? I'm not buying it." And Kristen, who can't keep her mouth shut, he's lying because he doesn't mean it. It's a lie. Why don't you just wait until we get to your segment about Carter? Okay? I would love to see the look on her face when we start talking about her and Carter. I mean, I assume we're going to because Andy said early on that we would get back to it. So I would love to see the look on Kristen's face if James starts to interject during that segment, right? She will say, "It's none of your business. What are you even talking for? This isn't about you." I mean, she's... All right, I'm just going to calm down here. Oh, yay, now we get to talk about the Lala and Ariana hookup. Poor Sandoval. Sandoval's like, "Okay, it was about a year ago. I had just gotten my new car." And he was driving and picked them up, and Lala's in the back. And I guess Lala said, "Ariana, get in the back." So then he said that Lala asked him, "Is it okay?" And Lisa says to Lala, "You asked his permission?" And Lala goes, "I have manners." Oh, God. Then she was asked if Rand knew, and she said, no, but my mom knew. I told my mom. I just ate Ariana's cookie. Yeah, I mean, there's just, you know, moms don't really need to know that. You know, you do you, boo, but I don't think mom needs to be in on it. We talk about the unlikely friendship of Stassi and Ariana and how Ariana resisted and why does she really not like Stassi? I'm not sure, but like, I mean, they are friends now. You know how they had their mutual birthday party and it was winter is coming theme because they both love Game of Thrones and they're both ice queens. Fair enough. Speaking of Game of Thrones, I was the very lucky recipient for Mother's Day. My husband got me the Urban Decay Game of Thrones vault. It is the most beautiful eyeshadow palette and eye pencils and lipsticks. It's so gorgeous. And if you like my makeup tonight, I am sporting the, well, mostly Lannister, mostly a Cersei look. However, there's a little bit of Winterfell in there and my eyeliner is Smoke Dragon. So that's a little bit of Daenerys, but yeah, it's so beautiful, you guys. If you guys think you would want me to do like an unboxing or something, I'd be happy to because it's just a gorgeous, thoughtfully put together collaboration of Urban Decay and Game of Thrones. It's gorgeous. It's just stunning. It really is. Now we're talking about the opening for Tom Tom a little bit and how Kristen was basically the only person that wasn't invited. And you know, Vanderpump's got a stupid excuse. It wasn't really my party. None of my friends came. It was the Daily Mail party. And okay, sorry, but I watched episode, 1 or 2 of Real Housewives of Beverly Hills when you were mad at Kyle for not coming to the Tom Tom opening that you claim you didn't really have any friends at. So, which is it? Side note, Kristen's necklace, it's so bad. It's a very thick beaded choker. It looks crooked and sloppy. It's weird. It's as if, okay, I am visualizing that it was made with like wire or something, like the beads were strung on wire and the wire's bent. That's what it looks like. So I don't know if it got smashed in a suitcase or if it's supposed to look like that, but it doesn't look good. And otherwise, she looks pretty tonight, I think. Then Andy talks about how sweet and adorable it was that Sandoval got so excited for the opening and he got that motorcycle with the sidecar and he had the helmet made for Tom and the gloves and everything and it was so cute. And Andy's like, it almost kind of brought a tear to my eye. Anyway, Ariana tells him that the motorcycle is there and that he got a helmet for Andy too. So they just get up right then and there and go out to the lot. And he's going to take him on a motorcycle ride, except something's wrong with the starter. And it like peters out and then somebody gets it started and he drives like down the street and he's trying to make a left-hand turn and it dies again. So that's about it. And then Andy walks back to the studio. Stupid. We get into this whole thing with like Lisa and Katie and James and the whole James calling her fat and James losing his job. That whole thing again. We rehashed that and Katie, God, you know, I want to be on Katie's side because fundamentally I am. Particularly in the workplace, a woman should not have a coworker talk about her body. It's good or bad, you know? It's just, that's inappropriate. So ultimately, I feel like Katie is right in saying that this shouldn't happen. But Katie is such an unlikable person. I mean, I don't even know what to say about that. I can't be on her side, even if I think she's right about something. It's like the way she talks to people, it's just such a bully mentality that I can't. She's very unlikable. So that kind of morphs into the fact that James apologizes for stuff because I guess James said, I said I was sorry. Now Stassi is saying, here's the deal. James apologizes for stuff, and then he goes and does it again. So it means nothing while all the rest of us are working on our relationships with each other. I mean, I don't know if that's true or not, but whatever. So now Tom again says something, and people are screaming and yelling at Sandoval. So Ariana gets mad and she says, okay, I'm going to be the Tom translator. Since all of you guys think that all Tom does is defend every single thing that James does, I'm going to tell you what he's saying. He's not excusing everything for James. He's saying, if you actually don't care, then don't apologize, because then your apologies mean nothing. Okay, Sandoval needs to stay out of it now. Let them fight with James. I know he thinks that James needs somebody in his corner. I guess I kind of appreciate that. He's calling everybody hypocrites. They're calling him a hypocrite. You all are, basically, right? I mean, I don't know if Sandoval is, but I'm sure there's something Sandoval's done that's hypocritical. But definitely all the others are. You know, he's trying to say that Katie called Lala a whore at work, but she doesn't get fired for that. Well, okay. That's when Katie said, and I apologized to her. That got Sandoval incensed because he said, and James apologized to you, but whatever. You know, Katie's talking about how she feels ashamed in her body. She just got comfortable with herself and now out on social media and she's being body shamed and you don't know what that's like. And James said, yeah, I do, because you've called me skinny and anorexic, and she denied that. I think Jack said I called him that. I don't know, but yeah, you just, you know what? You're all kind of vile. That's the problem. You're all kind of nasty people. And that's why this is going to be a little bit of a short recap here, because I don't care so much about any one of them. I'm not in anybody's camp right now. Oh, good. Speaking of unlikable people, now we have Billy Lee out on stage. It's funny, we were just talking about this on Mother's Day at my brother's house. It is so unfortunate that the LGBT community is being represented by Billy Lee, at least on Vanderpump Rules, because she is also a very unlikable person. She just made a comment about how she wants to have a baby soon. She's probably going to do that on her own. And Andy said, oh, really? Yeah. And she goes, yeah, I mean, you know, if I get a raise. She makes this face like, you know, I haven't had one of those in a while. Really? That's how you should ask for a raise, on camera, in front of your boss, or in a snarky way? What's wrong with you? Or, for that matter, the way she speaks to Lisa in general, I think is really disrespectful. I don't know, man. I don't like her. We talk a little bit about her being excluded from Girls' Night In. Again, I didn't like the road she took in that regard. She claims that she herself did not call the others transphobic, yet people who tweeted that they were transphobic, Billy Lee liked those comments. So she claims that there were other things in the comment, though, that's what she was really liking. But, you know, if that's the case, I really think you need to make that clear. I think I said that before. Yeah, she rubs me the wrong way. I think she feels entitled a little bit. Side note, Andy tells her that he likes her long blonde hair. Yeah, if it was like maybe this length, but it's down to her butt and it's stringy. I didn't like it. Anyway, everybody was pretty upset with Billy about that. And, you know, she did, I guess, admit that the people there are not transphobic. Then we got on to Girls' Night In versus See You Next Tuesday. And James said, yeah, you did Girls' Night In, what, 3-4 times? I did See You Next Tuesday 67 times. And every single time it was sold out. And everyone's like, it didn't sell out. I mean, you don't sell tickets for it. And he goes, well, I could have. The t-shirt sold out. I could have sold tickets. Okay. You know, James, come on, man. I'm trying to be on your side. Oh, my God. Now Andy asks Lala, so why is it so hard for you to have a conversation with somebody who doesn't agree with you without you going off on them? Which I thought was a bold question. But Lala's response, because it's really exhausting to school people on life. Yeah. Yes, Lala, because you have to school people on life. Okay, the next segment is about how Ariana and Tom finally bought a house. They've been moved in for 1 month now. And, you know, they've been talking about that for a long time. And a week later, Tom and Katie bought a house 2 minutes from their house. Then Jax and Brittany bought a house in the same neighborhood. And Kristen bought a house. She said she's like just a few blocks from, I think, Tom and Katie. You know, I feel like this is a new era for the show, you know? My feeling is that Vanderpump Rules, if it continues on, is going to have to be maybe with some new blood. Because I think we're going to have to go back to these young wait staff and bartenders who are, you know, dating and mixing it up with each other and going out partying and stuff. And Tom and Katie and Tom and Ariana and Jax and Brittany and Kristen and all their houses in their neighborhood. I mean, maybe that could be a different show, or maybe we just let them grow up and move on in life. Maybe we just check in with them like periodically. Once a year, we can see what they're up to. You know, they're going to start to have babies. Some of them are. I think Tom and Katie are, and I know Jax and Brittany are. So I just think they are in a very different place in their life right now, and that's not what Vanderpump Rules is about. These women are almost ready to move on to Real Housewives of Beverly Hills. Side note, we got to see all of the houses. They all look very nice, but Kristen's is the one I love. It has a beautiful little porch and trees, and it just reminds me of a little cottage, and I love it. I think it has twice the personality as the other houses. We talk about Lala's sobriety now. She said that there were a lot of moments that when she reflected back, she could tell that they were alcohol related. So that it wasn't like the one rock bottom moment, but that recently she went to Disneyland with her family and Rand and his family, and she was drunk 4 days straight, morning till night. And she says she got on the plane and she's face chugging out of a bottle, and she woke up the next morning and said, I will never be like that again. She's been sober since October 22nd, I think she said, and she will never go back. You know, for her sake, I hope she doesn't. This, of course, leads to James's sobriety. Somebody asked if he was like partying or going hard or something like that. And he said no. And they go, come on, we saw. He goes, let me finish. I am drinking, but I'm not. And he was going to start to say, like, I'm not getting hammered, I think is kind of what he was going to say. But my God, that boy can't say anything without 10 people jumping in and pouncing on him. Kristen, I am so tired of this narrative. Oh, you know, sit down. You're getting paid to be here. He said, what do you want me to say? And Lisa said, I want you to tell the truth. And he said, I was trying to. I believe him. I think he was trying to be truthful and say, I'm not sober, I'm still drinking, but I'm not drinking to excess. Listen, I think he probably needs to drink zero, nothing. But I think he was being honest with how much he's drinking. I don't know, I could be wrong, whatever. I wish they would just let him speak for a second. I'm getting really tired of Andy throwing a question to James trying to answer it, and before he even gets it out, Kristen, Jax, you know, people are just attacking. And this is why I can never be on James's side totally. In the very next breath, he said, Andy, I'm trying to talk to you and I can't because she keeps interrupting. And this one keeps making fun of me, Stassi. And he goes, stop playing with your ugly extensions. This is what I mean when I said last week that he fights dirty, that when he feels backed in a corner, he goes and attacks and he goes real low. Like, right? When they go low, he goes lower. So instead of just, saying, stop making fun of me, he has to then tell her that her extensions are ugly and they look cheap and, you make enough money, you could afford better ones, and go on and on about a girl's appearance. You don't have to do that, James. Not only do you not have to, but you really shouldn't. Andy said, I think they look good. And she's like, thank you. And everyone's going, they do. Oh my God. And James, well, let's see what Twitter has to say about them. Lala, never one to be outdone when it comes to going low, said, oh, dude, you do not want to talk about Twitter. Just wait and see what they say about your girlfriend coming out here in polyester. Oh, we come back from break. Andy asks him about the comment he made to his therapist when he said he feels like he needs to drink or he doesn't feel like himself. I think he answered this very honestly. He said, yeah, I don't mean to brag, but I think people want to talk to me and get their picture taken with me and meet me. I believe that. I think people want to get their picture taken with every one of those people there. So he said, and I feel like, with a whiskey in me, I feel like I can be on a little bit more, I do know what you mean. I think that's honest of you to say. But of course, Kristen can't let it go. She's making all kinds of faces and eye rolling. And then Andy said, are you still helping out your family financially? And he said, of course. Andy, how much are you helping them? Okay, Andy, that was a bad question. And none of your business. So what he says is, I don't want to go into that. And Kristen said, of course you don't. He didn't say he does want to go into it. He said he doesn't want to go into it. She made it sound like he wants to talk about it a lot. Andy asked him about it. James didn't bring it up. And then when Andy pressed him for more detail, he said, I don't want to talk about it. So how is that offensive, Kristen? But Kristen goes, oh, of course he doesn't, because he wants everyone to think he's helping out his family so much, like all of us aren't doing the same thing. The point she was trying to make didn't make sense because whatever, just what I said. James didn't bring it up. So Andy actually says, Kristen, why do you have to chime in every time I ask James a question? And she said, it's frustrating. Oh, okay, I can't say it. You say it, Stassi. And so now Stassi says that every single person here has helped their parents. And I think Stassi's point was it's kind of been a storyline of James this season that he helps his parents. And then Sandoval said to Stassi, do you pay their rent, Stassi? Your parents' rent? And she goes, I'm not answering that. I'm not answering how much I help my family or not, but every single one of us helps their families. Okay, well, did you guys think that Katie couldn't get any worse? 'Cause you'd be wrong. Lisa is trying to say that she appreciates that we see the side of James where he helps his family, because otherwise everybody would be against him 100% of the time. And Lisa thought it was important to see the other side because it allowed people to have compassion, see that other side of him that is compassionate to his family. Katie, oh, well, where's the compassion for me? I've been through a lot of stuff too. I went through a brain injury that causes me PTSD and is causing me depression, but James's parents got divorced. Oh, poor James. Yeah, that's pretty ugly, Katie. Oh, not to be outdone, Kristen then says, his family are losers and I'm sorry. Yeah, I feel sorry for him because he was raised by a bunch of assholes. Yeah. So James just gets up and walks out. I can't say I blame him. Just called his mom and dad assholes. So, and listen, they may deserve that title, but you don't say that in front of James like it's somehow James's fault. Because also I would like to point out that Stassi's mom is no prize. Okay? All right, guys, that's where part 2 of the reunion ends, and not a moment too soon. I don't know if I can handle a part 3. Honest to God, this is uglier than any of the housewives get. Or maybe it's just because there's so many people out there, you know? With the housewives, you've got like, what, 6 people? Maybe 7? This is just, it's too many people screaming at each other. At least next week we have Beau come out, so hopefully there's a little ray of sunshine. Possibly we can end on a higher note than we have been, but the joy's been sucked out of this for me a little bit. But I'll be here next week. I will try to find the joy in part 3 next week. Please subscribe to Jill Informed if you haven't already. Please give this video a thumbs up if you liked it, and don't forget to leave a comment down below. I love to hear from you guys. I will be back here for part 3 of the reunion of Vanderpump Rules. I do hope you guys join me. I'll see you then. Bye-bye.